Welcome, everyone. We are the Uneducated Gamers Podcast, and today we are going to talk about the Super Mario Brothers movie trailer release that we just got. And then we're going to talk about our top 3 picks for games for this December that you may want to check out. Before that, say, how you doing, Mike?
Oh, I'm doing all right. Good, and you?
I'm pretty good. I did want to also share some news that I'm a little sad about. But it's it was a anticlimactic end of a reign of Joe joining us for Uneducated Gamers. He will not be returning, unfortunately.
Oh no.
I know this is the first time you're hearing of it too. So it's unfortunate Joe won't be returning it with us. But he may join us for some GGTV plays later on if we are able to actually get a schedule to do that.
Sure.
But we're certainly going to miss him. I'm going to miss him. He was one that certainly helped, start the whole thing with me. Let's get to the trailer number 2 for the Super Mario Brothers movie. And before I really say anything, and Mike, I know we chatted about this briefly, and I'm not sure how much you had seen before I brought this up today, but what are your impressions of not just this trailer that we got, that we watched today, but so far the information and all the people that are attached to Super Mario Brothers movie?
I think it looks like fun. It's not, when I saw the original trailer, it's not that I thought it was a bad movie, but I kind of just dismissed it immediately. But after seeing the second trailer, I'm actually kind of piqued my interest a little more. It looks a little tighter than I thought it was going to at first.
Like what are some of the things that really piqued your interest or thoughts on this latest trailer that we just got?
Well, I did like that there was a lot more. It felt like it felt more like referential to the games this time around.
Mm-hmm.
The first trailer was like Super Shadow of Mordor, like Bowser's army against these penguins I've never heard of. Here we go. But then we got like Mushroom Kingdom stuff, and Donkey Kong showed up. That was neat. There was a brief Rainbow Road Mario Kart spoiler. Yeah, it just looks like it's a lot of fun. Was that?
What do you think about? I mean, perceivably, this just seems like an origin story of Mario Brothers, right?
It does seem that way. Yeah, he's very timid in the footage they've released.
So I'm curious too, right? Like, is the whole movie going to be that like entry into Super Mario Brothers, like as it was, when Bowser? So this would be, basically Super Mario Brothers 1, right?
Yeah, it'll be interesting.
I think what I find interesting is there are elements of a lot, like almost like an all-star hits of different aspects of the different games represented in this movie. Like, or at least I should say within the trailer. Right, you have the fish, the fish that fly across the bridge and hit him in the face. You have, the is it the Tanuki suit? Is that the one that he's wearing?
With the raccoon?
Yeah. But
I think technically Raccoon Mario and Tanuki Mario are 2 different things.
Yeah, you're probably right.
They were in Mario 3 anyway.
Okay. Yeah,
because the Tanuki can shapeshift. It can become the statue.
Oh, right. Yes. I always forget that they are separate to that. I also like the call out to Mario Kart too.
That was fun. I wasn't expecting that.
Rainbow Road and what have you, but
I was not expecting Donkey Kong either. That was a pleasant surprise.
Yeah, me neither. And well, not just Donkey Kong, but whatever, I forget, what is Donkey Kong's
Diddy Kong?
No, not Diddy.
There's like Donkey Kong,
the
Diddy
old guy,
Kong.
the old guy.
Oh boy.
You know who I'm talking about, though.
I know who you're talking about. Yes.
And so he was represented in here, right? So I think it's the
Cranky
grand.
Kong.
What's that?
Cranky Kong.
Cranky Kong. There we go. Thank you. So a lot of throwbacks, a lot of really cool sort of tie-ins to all the different games. But I guess the question I have is it going to be too much callbacks to the games that there would be a lot, too much fragmented noise to the whole thing?
Like Ready Player One,
Right.
kind of was.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I know I'm very vocal about how I hate nostalgia movies, which the entire purpose of this movie is to be a nostalgia movie. But if they know how to tighten it up and just be fun with it and do more than just, hey, point to this Easter egg, hey, point to this Easter egg, give it a minor plot, give them some fun dialogue. It doesn't have to be much. I don't have a high expectation of this movie any more than I had a high expectation of Sonic, but I enjoyed the Sonic movies. I think this movie has a good thing going for it, where where it has kind of a similar audience and a similar tone that Sonic the Hedgehog 2 did, but it didn't write itself into a corner by trying to be a live action movie. So it's free to just do Mario things, and I think that's going to do well.
That's fair. I mean, that's actually something I didn't like draw parallels in that way, but I think you're right. Like, I think if they really do pull it off in that way, I think it could be a very strong showing for a Mario Brothers movie.
To your point that I completely ignored, though, there's an opportunity for them to be too fragmented if they try. Because like you can bring in Donkey Kong as like a side character, just like, oh hey, Donkey Kong's here, whatever, doesn't have a role. But if you try to bring him in and like connect him to King K. Rool and try to have something whole going on the side, that's going to be too much. Or if you bring Bowser in and then you also bring in like the Bowser children in and they've got something whole going on, it's going to be too much.
Yeah, I mean, that was one of the things. So the first time I watched the trailer, I've watched this trailer about 15 times now. I'm gonna confess to how many times I watched it, because I was trying to. One of the things that after watching it the first time, I was like, I had to have missed something because there was just a lot there, right? Like I was just at first I was in awe. I was like, ooh, this is ooh, and so then I got into starting watching it again. And there are so many call outs in this trailer. Like there's like a short glimpse, right? At like, I think it's the 115 or 120 something mark of Yoshi's Island, right? Like we're talking.
Oh, I didn't even catch that one.
There are so many different call outs in this trailer that I'm like, man, I really hope they just don't like, right. It's like it's right around 124 and it's like quick. It's super quick. Right before the flower that Princess Peach puts her hand on the flower to get, the fire. It's right before that. And it's
when
like
he's flying through the mushrooms in the raccoon suit.
It's what's that?
Because I'm trying to see, there's the fish on the bridge.
Yep.
This particular sequence is like really quick. There's the fish on the bridge, and then it shoots over. Oh, this flyover here. I see. That's Yoshi. Yeah, that's Yoshi's Island.
Yeah. So it's like boom, boom. And I can't remember what but so there's the Ice City, right?
Uh-huh.
So there's just so much here. Like there's so much, and not that I'm complaining, right? Like I often find that a lot of video game movies and such, they go super focused on like kind of just a very narrow storyline. But at the same time, this trailer, and probably just because it's a trailer, it's very, very sporadic. But I feel like there's so many locations in this movie that I fear that it's going to have there's an opportunity. It's just going to be too schizophrenic.
Go forward to 142. That still frame for a moment.
Yeah.
Do they have the ghost sucker from Luigi's Mansion there? Are they trying to
Yeah.
go that as well?
Yeah. Yeah.
Huh. Yeah, that's a lot. There's more in this than I initially realized.
And then the Mario Kart reference, right? So like there are a lot of references in this thing. And look, maybe they are just references within the concept or the construct of the story to kind of like draw parallels to where you are in the universe, right?
Because it's fine to have the references because like the world exists as is, right? So if
Right.
Mario's traipsing through all these vignettes, certain things are going to be there.
Exactly. And if that's the case, then I'm fine with that. But when you jam it all into a trailer and these little itty bitty quick snippets, it just gives me a little bit of just a tad bit of a worry. You know?
I think it'll be okay. I haven't seen so now that we've talked about just how many references are packed in here, that worries me a little, but I still am pretty confident that it's gonna be pretty okay.
Yeah. I mean,
It's not gonna be Sonic the Hedgehog 1 bad.
yeah. And it's not going to be the original Super Mario Brothers bad.
No, God no. That was bad.
Except we got to talk about the Chris Pratt in the room.
The crisp rat in the room.
Chris Pratt as the voice of Mario. And a lot of folks, a lot of people on the interwebs, and a lot of people have had some very mixed reactions to Chris Pratt as Mario. I'm curious to get, so since me and you have never talked about Chris Pratt as Mario in this movie, like what is your take on what now we have heard more of Chris Pratt as Mario in this?
I'm gonna be honest, I don't care. I just don't care. Would I have liked the original voice actor to voice Mario? Absolutely. That'd have been fantastic. Chris Pratt is there because this is a Hollywood movie, and Hollywood ties people's hands behind their back to sell tickets, and that's the only reason Chris Pratt is there. Um, and I kind of just don't care. He'll do fine. I don't have any particular feeling about him.
I agree with you. Hearing all the voices in there. By the way, my favorite voice in this whole thing is Jack Black as Bowser.
Oh yeah, actually, talking about voices, that was a very pleasant surprise. This is as weird as it is, this is going to be the movie that's makes me realize that Jack Black can actually act. Jack Black's funny, but he just does Jack Black things, right?
Right.
But he's voice acting Bowser fantastically.
I think he had done his research.
Yeah.
Because the inflection that he has in his voice and just in the pieces that are in the trailer are just utterly fantastic.
He's actually acting. Even in Kung Fu Panda, he was just doing Jack Black things, right?
Yeah, that's fair.
This feels like an actual performance, and I'm very excited.
I'm actually very happy about the voices for the Toads, right? I think they got that right.
Who's doing them?
I don't know. I can't remember. I also think that for Princess Peach, I thought it was a perfect choice.
Oh, that's Anna Taylor-Joy? Oh yeah, she'll do fine.
Yeah.
Anna Taylor-Joy is fantastic. Toad is Keegan-Michael Key. Yes, that's why they're good. Fred Armisen is Cranky Kong. That's fantastic.
I am a little just worried about the Chris Pratt and I forget the guy's name again for Luigi.
Charlie Day.
Charlie Day.
I love him. He's great.
I do. I'm a huge fan of Charlie Day. However, Luigi is a very distinctive. Like I think Chris Pratt actually could pull off Mario better than Day doing Luigi, because Luigi is he's very specific. He has a very specific type of voice to do.
I could see there being some concern there. However, I think Charlie Day has a lot of respect for what he does. So he might not get the voice perfect because he might just not be able to, but he will do the role well.
Fair
Is
enough.
my thought on him. Whereas
That's fair.
Chris Pratt would be the one I'd be like, well, listen, he's kind of just a pretty face to sell movie tickets. He's not actually a good actor.
I don't know, but I don't know. Like him as Star Killer, for
Eh,
for
Guardians of
um
the Galaxy.
yeah, I thought he was great. Like
I
I
he's
enjoyed
just
it.
he was just doing Chris Pratt things. It's the Jack Black argument.
I
School of Rock
guess.
is fantastic. Jack Black wasn't a good actor in that movie. He was just being Jack Black.
Okay, fair enough. I
Chris Pratt was funny in Parks and Rec too. He was just doing Chris Pratt things.
Well, okay. So this movie comes out this December. I'm if I can and if I'm able, I am definitely going to try to go see this in the theater because A, I just like going to the theater, and B, I think it'll just be fun to see in the theater.
Me too. Yeah, I'll probably go see this in theaters.
But something I'm going to give some backroom information that might be just rumor, it might be real. Um but supposedly the movie runtime is very
Oh.
short.
Well, that's not necessarily a problem.
Like we're talking between 75 and 85 minutes.
That's really short.
Uh-huh.
I don't have a problem with short movies as long as they're well done. Listen, a story's going to take as long as it takes to tell. If it's not that long of a story to tell, don't draw it out. You're just going to make your audience resent you for having to be there any longer than they have to. Uh,
But do
but
you
that's
think,
short.
but don't you think there might be some backlash? Because I mean, if you think about it, right? Like there are a lot of there's a lot of hype around this movie right now. And typical runtime for movies, especially even like Hollywood movies, even from an animated perspective, you're talking, anywhere from 118 to 135, right?
Yeah, I still think 90-minute standard is the target if you can do it. Um, there's the 2 hour, 2.5 hour movies are really long. Even the good ones, like I just don't have that kind of time all the time.
Yeah. Yeah. No,
Um,
fair enough.
but that's even less than my 90-minute target.
Yeah. I mean, that's just backroom talk that I've been hearing. Um, so we'll see. I think it's going to be quite low in that respect. Um, but yeah, I feel like some people we might if it's that low, there might be some people that are going to
I could
react
see
to that.
that. Some people being upset that they paid however much to get into the theater and it was only an hour long.
Yeah.
I could see that. But again, if that's the amount of time it takes for the story to breathe properly and wrap up cleanly, that is what it is.
But then why release it as a theatrical film? Like theatrical films that are just over an hour, like nobody will waste the time to do that, right?
Maybe. Or
I
maybe
don't
they'll
know.
get more butts in the seats because everyone's really busy.
Maybe. Yeah, and December too. Well, we'll see.
We'll see.
Yeah, I mean, I think overall, I think this trailer 2 really was a home run in my opinion. It made me even feel better about the film,
Me
regardless
too.
of the subtle nuances that I pointed out. Um, but we'll see. I mean, I think it's gonna be an interesting ride, and I still think it's gonna be better than what we have already. I mean, it's going to be better than cartoon, and it's going to be better than the prior Mario Brothers. So, what else can we want? All right. Well, moving on to December for our top 3 games that are coming out in December of 2022, rounding out I think a very banner year for next gen gaming, right?
Oh yeah.
So I think what I would like to do, and we're basing, or at least I wanted to base this off of and you know, I always still watch IGN videos. Sorry, folks, I do. IGN has just been around for way too damn long. A lot of people don't like IGN.
I didn't know people didn't like IGN. Didn't know that was a thing.
Yeah, they just call them sellouts and what have you, but they still do some good content. And so they released this most recent video that came out a couple days ago that outlined the biggest game releases of December of 2022. And so I thought it would be great for Mike and I to kind of just call out our top 3 games that we see coming out in December that you may want to check out. So I'm going to actually turn it over to you, Mike, and kind of like give us your thoughts on, what are the ones that sort of piqued your interest, but then, what was your top 3?
So I'm going to let in how little I understand what's going on in the world around me. I watched the video and I was like, oh, where is Pokemon Violet? Pokemon Scarlet and Violet were supposed to come out this month, weren't they? No, they came out in November. They're already out. So that was going to be on my list of games to talk about, was the new Pokemon, and I missed the boat.
just a little bit. Maybe, you know what? Well, let's rewind and we'll do November and we'll say like, oh, we recorded this before, we forgot to release it.
Well, yeah, no. Was there anything in November that you were interested in?
Me?
Yeah.
Oh, it was FIFA 23. I mean,
FIFA 23.
Yeah, that was the one that I was really into, and primarily because of my son and the World Cup.
Oh, sure. We won't get into the nonsense that's going on there.
USA.
You hear no, I'm not going to bring that up.
All right. Top 3.
Top 3. All right. Honorable mention Pokemon Scarlet and Violet because they're not technically December. All right. I am the most excited for Callisto Protocol. I think Dead Space, I played the original Dead Space and that was a ton of fun. Didn't get much into the sequels. I heard the third one was trash because they had the problem where they tried to invest in multiplayer rather than actually do a single player game like it was supposed to.
Very true.
Sorry, devs. Who did Dead Space? That wasn't BioWare, was it? Because it would be funny if BioWare got screwed by that twice.
Like Dead Space 3?
Yeah.
I think Dead Space 3 was Visceral.
It was Visceral. Okay.
Yeah.
Good. I was just gonna think it was really funny if BioWare got screwed over by the multiplayer thing twice. Because that's what happened to Mass Effect.
Yes. Yeah, pretty much.
Second game I saw that I thought was interesting was Chained Echoes, which just looks like another fun little JRPG grid-based romp, and I'm all about those. And then, because there wasn't anything better to really latch onto, Justin Roiland's High on Life is the third in my list, which I have very middling hopes for.
But why?
Listen, I really like Rick and Morty. I don't think Justin Roiland is that great outside of that show. I think he works really well with Dan Harmon because Dan Harmon is really talented and knows how to use him as an actor. But any of the ancillary shows like he's done a couple of just him without Dan shows and they were awful. I don't think he works well without a good writer on his side, and I think that's how this game is going to go. I think it's going to be over the top, and I think it's going to think it's funnier than it is. And it's just not going to be. It's going to be like Borderlands 3 writing. Ooh. Is what I anticipate for this game.
Really?
Yeah. I think it looks mechanically interesting. I think the writing is going to be bad. And when you're focusing so much on the humor, like this game obviously will, it can't suck.
I mean, who doesn't want to like stab a gigantic guy and go and your weapon goes stabby, 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 stab.
It'll mechanically and visually, I think it'll be fun. But I think that once the immediate kitsch wears off of doing that, like that's only going to be novel for about 5 minutes before it gets annoying, right?
Okay, if you had to place a prediction on what Metacritic is going to give this game, meaning not the critics, but the user score for Metacritics, what do you think it would be?
Well,
If you had to give a guess.
I think that depends on how much of an overlap there is between video game players and the people who storm McDonald's demanding Szechuan sauce. If that Venn diagram is just a circle, this is going to get a 10 out of 10.
Well, so Metacritic goes from 0 to 100.
Oh,
So what do you think? So like so far, the best game score is I think 96.
from the trailers alone, I think this thing could easily get somewhere between 70 and 80.
Okay, so
It'll be fairly okay. I don't think I would enjoy it that much. I think unless it surprises me, I personally wouldn't give it more than a 65 on that scale. I think given, like I said, that Venn diagram of gamer population, I think it's going to get a lot of good user reviews, and I think it'll be decent enough. And I think Justin Roiland carries enough weight, star power weight, that it'll bump it to 70 or 80.
Okay, what about Callisto Protocol? Like you take that and you put that on a Metacritic scale for users. Like
I think that'll easily score in the 90s. That game just looks fantastic. That's one where it's like it looks really good. So unless they ruin it somehow, there's no way that's not hitting the 90s.
quick rumor mill on that game. And I don't know if this destroys your score for this, or what your presumably projected score would be for this. But rumor mill is a lot of the death animations and a lot of the different mechanics of the game are going to be behind the DLC paywall.
So that's weird. That's really weird. That's like a Mortal Kombat style fighting game kind of DLC.
Yep.
This is, as far as I understand, supposed to be a tight single player game.
Yep. I
Okay.
mean, it's really
Well,
weird. I hope it's untrue.
I also hope it's untrue, because if that is true, that's gonna tank this thing's score right out the gate. All you have to do is be a spiritual successor to Dead Space. You just got to make a really good single player action horror game. That's all it has to be. Don't put weird microtransactions for death animations and whatnot. Don't do that.
Yeah, I think we'll see how this goes. But if Season Pass is going, the Callisto Protocol Season Pass surfaces that, that stuff is all going to get gonna put it into that DLC paywall. It'll be interesting.
Just the existence of a Season Pass isn't a bad thing. That just tells you that they're planning on making like extra levels or whatever have you. But if the rumor is true that they're going to do death animations and probably other things, then that's weird. That's the wrong type of game to put that in.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Any additional honorable mentions before we move on?
I did want to call out Inscription. Not a new game. That game was already out. Inscription is the really dark spooky card game. It was an indie game. I don't remember what company made it. But it's getting a Switch port. So it's not a new release. It's already out. It's a good game. But it's coming to the Switch now. Which I think honestly is a great console for it. I know Slay the Spire I prefer to play Slay the Spire on a Switch like device if I can. So I imagine Inscription will do just fine on that console. But yeah, that's not honorable mention because it's not new.
Yeah. No, I'm I think we're in parity in some of this in our top three. So I'll go ahead and slide into mine really quick. And yeah, I think overall number one for me is Callisto Protocol. In fact, it's going to be here on Friday. I pre-ordered it, make sure that it was going to come to my door day one so I can
Oh baby.
pop it into the PlayStation 5 and play that baby for a bit before I go on vacation. But I have been waiting for a horror style game that I think would make me like want to play with the game with the lights on. And what I've seen of this game so far, I feel like this is finally that first game in a very long time that's going to make me do that.
I can't quite quantify why I think this. But okay, jump scares are the cheapest form of horror. Yes, agree?
Yes, correct.
Yeah. But somehow Dead Space figured out how to do jump scares correctly. And damn do they hit.
Yeah. Hellblade did the same thing though. Like, I don't know if you've played Hellblade.
No, that I haven't played.
Senua's Sacrifice. I got a chance to play that game. And that game I cannot play. I mean, I don't scare easily, but that game is spooky as hell. And it will mess with you because of the audio design of it.
Mm-hmm.
Is very, very well done. And when I'm playing in, my basement with surround sound and the voices are like, traveling through all the speakers and so on and so forth and traveling in other sides, and then something just appears at you and, what have you, the game just does it for, that's the last game that has done it for me. And I'm hoping, and I have high hopes for Callisto Protocol to be of that same quality and caliber.
Yeah. Yeah, me too. It looks good. Looks good. I put Hellblade on my wish list. I think I remember it might have been Architect of Games talking about this particular one. It looks a little bit familiar. It's jogging some memory in me. I'll definitely check it out.
That game is impressive. I really, really love it. I think it's severely underrated, and I'm excited to see what to play Hellblade 2. My number 2 is your number 3, and that's High on Life. And primarily, I'll be honest with you, the reason why I'm just so excited about this game is the fact that it just looks like it's going to be fun as hell to play.
I hope it is. I hope that I am pleasantly surprised and Justin Roiland doesn't become irritating after 5 minutes.
I mean, I understand that. I don't know. I am optimistically hoping it's going just to be a wacky fun game. Just like Outer Worlds, right?
Sure.
I think Outer Worlds was to me, it was a surprising hit and very fun to play.
It was a lot more subdued though, and it was made by like an established titan in RPG making.
Fair enough.
Like this is just Justin Roiland getting drunk one day and making a game, basically. Just like he does everything else. But I hope it's Rick and Morty Justin Roiland and not Solar Opposites Justin Roiland.
Oh, Solar Opposites was so bad.
Yep.
It was so bad. We could probably have an episode to dissect that whole atrocity.
I couldn't even finish the pilot.
Oh, that was brutal. All right, so number 3, I'm gonna go with my tried and true Old Faithful. It is a remake, remaster. But to me, this was one that needed to be made, and I think is going to satisfy my appetite for the next Final Fantasy VII release, and that is Crisis Core Final Fantasy VII Reunion. And this, for those who don't know, so Crisis Core was I'm pretty certain this was a Nintendo DS game at first, long time ago, and it deserved a remaster because Crisis Core really changed the mechanics of the Final Fantasy VII story and really took it to another level. And it was just really an excellent addition to the series. And I felt like, we've been called, or I should say the Final Fantasy like enthusiasts, people who love Final Fantasy, really like this particular game because it really provided a lot of that backstory for Final Fantasy VII that we didn't get because Final Fantasy VII was just a gigantic game and they couldn't add more to it.
Sure. So if I'm understanding this correctly, Crisis Core was similar to like the Kingdom Hearts Game Boy and DS games where they expanded on different mechanics and widened the story of Kingdom Hearts, but it's being remastered for PC and console.
Yeah, so and I just looked here. I'm sorry, I got this incorrect. It was actually a PSP game originally.
Okay, sure.
And Crisis Core actually is a story that's set 7 years before Final Fantasy VII.
Okay.
And so it's a prequel story to the whole Final Fantasy, like, Final Fantasy VII, and then Crisis Core was right before that. So it was everything leading up to the the opening of Final Fantasy VII, which is the train and blowing up the mecha reactor.
So I know absolutely nothing about Final Fantasy other than it was an NES RPG at one point. What makes number 7 such a special? Because that seems to be like a really important game in the series.
Yeah, I mean, it depends on who you talk to. Final Fantasy VII was probably at the time, the best iteration of the game that really had this expansive and diverse story-driven narrative. It really held a narrative that, in my eyes anyways, that was more... it was more realistic or more on it kind of took a non-fantasy look at relationships and how people interacted with each other. It pushed the boundaries that video game narrative didn't have at that time.
Okay. Which seems interesting to me because when I think of Square Enix, I think of really goofy, like surface level characters.
I mean, Final Fantasy VII, introduced people to, like, at that time, right? Taboo talking about cross-dressers. Like Tu Wong Fu wasn't even out yet, right?
I guess I forgot how recently that was taboo.
Yeah, I mean, if you think about it, right? Like Final Fantasy VII came out before Tu Wong Fu, which was like the commercial breakout of cross-dressing, right? Like that was when
Monty Python was the commercial breakout of cross-dressing.
Well, people still didn't understand or think that there was Monty Python was too early for its time.
Yeah.
When it came out. It wasn't until the Tu Wong Fus of the world came out that it became more commercially popular, I guess is what I'm getting at.
Sure.
And so like Final Fantasy VII, really touched on some very, you know, like touchy topics, right?
Yeah.
It was lengthy and it was good. It was a very bad game. To be very honest with you, like Final Fantasy VII itself, it was a bad polygon game. It was like, someone's arms was made of like 4 blocks. It was like boop, 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 it's just, it was like a really old game. What Crisis Core did was it took Final Fantasy story, made it an origin story, and upgraded the graphics and upgraded the way that the game was presented and the story was presented.
Okay.
And it was Crisis Core is what made people had asked for a remake of Final Fantasy VII for almost 2 decades.
Sure.
And so Crisis Core though was I mean, if you look anywhere, Crisis Core is a highly rated Final Fantasy game.
Okay. I'll have to check it out. I know 7 got remade recently,
Yes.
and that was a pretty big deal.
Oh my gosh. Yes, it was disappointing that they're breaking it up into multiple games. So whatever. But yes, what they did with the Final Fantasy VII remake, it exceeded my expectations on everything that they put into it. And by all means, even though I avoided buying a PlayStation 5 because I did not want to support Sony's nonsense of what they were doing with the Final Fantasy VII series and the remakes, I finally caved in, obviously, and I'm over it. But I was very, very happy with the remake, and I can't wait for the next one to come out. And this one, even though it's on my number 3, it's only my number 3 because Callisto Protocol I'm getting on Friday. High on Life I'm gonna get to play on free on Game Pass day 1, and Crisis Core I won't be able to play until I get back from vacation. So priorities, I guess.
Sure.
But yeah.
So would you say that Final Fantasy VII is it's important part of video game history because it inspired and led to other games? Let's say Persona series maybe owes its life to Final Fantasy VII in the same way that Gears of War owes its life to Resident Evil 4, where Resident Evil 4 isn't necessarily the greatest game on its own.
Yeah, I mean, I think so. I think Final Fantasy as a series has inspired so many hits that we've all played over the years. Me and you, we've talked about Shining Force, right?
Mm-hmm.
Final Fantasy inspired Shining Force, right?
Well, yeah, sure it did from a just from like a genre perspective, but I was talking more about like the story and then the subject matter, because Persona is another one that's very weighty in its dialogue.
Yeah, I think Final Fantasy VII was, and I would say a little bit of Final Fantasy VI, but only to a small degree, really started changing how story I felt was, or at least from my perspective, that was injected into RPGs, right? Oftentimes RPGs was like, I'm a hero, I'm gonna go save the princess, hit a bunch of monsters, and then the game's over. Where Final Fantasy, I think, shined was the way that they broke into like almost like novella type narrative.
Sure.
That really carried you through a story and made you feel like you have completed an adventure as opposed to just beating up a bunch of monsters.
Yeah.
And so I think that's what, in my opinion, even though the Final Fantasy games aren't always the best games, and they haven't been for quite some time, but I think when you talk about games like Final Fantasy VII, Crisis Core, Final Fantasy X, those games themselves, even though they're only a few of the Final Fantasy games, they're probably some of the most important games that that are part of this industry because they've fueled so many different games in that space. That's my opinion.
Cool.
Off my soapbox. To round this out on the honorable mentions, I do want to agree with you. I think Inscription didn't make my regular list because again, it's a re-release of a game that's already out there, and it's not like a remaster or anything. It's just a straight up port, right?
Right.
But I'm excited to play it on the Switch. I haven't played it yet. I'm glad it's coming to the Switch because I think it's the medium, and it's the console that I would want to play it on. I think the other one that I've always been a huge fan of this series, and that's Need for Speed Unbound. I think this is a very interesting new take. This is the first time that they're taking more of a cartoony type approach to it. It's also, with a new developer for the Need for Speed series. I think it has a lot of Initial D vibes too. And I used to like Initial D, like arcade and so on and so forth. And so it'll be interesting to see what Criterion Software does with Need for Speed. And it's a lot of cell shaded like graphics and what have you. So it just looks interesting. I'm going to optimistically watch it from the outside, and I'm actually kind of hoping it hits Game Pass, so I can check it out there first. But I mean, I'm always down for a good Need for Speed game.
I like what they did with the art style. I think it gives it a very distinct feel to separate it from, say, Gran Turismo or Forza Horizon.
Right. It's not trying to be realistic. It's just trying to have that arcadey feel.
Yeah, exactly. It kind of feels. It gives me Saints Row vibes, just a little, in the way that it's presenting itself.
Right, like Saints Row meets racing kind of thing.
Like, we're gonna have fun here, and we're not gonna take ourselves too seriously. But here's this well-developed, tight game that we put together for you.
Yeah. Well, have you played Burnout?
No, I haven't played Burnout.
So Burnout, they Criterion Software, they're the ones that created Burnout.
That makes sense.
And so Burnout was well, let me rephrase that. Acclaim created it, but Criterion has worked on it since its inception. And so they've been well, sorry. It was created and developed under the Acclaim banner, and then EA bought it, obviously, when the whole like Acclaim went belly up or whatever. But yeah, so Burnout Paradise, I think, is one of their last ones that they made, and it's a fantastic game. But it was that arcadey style kind of racing game.
Mm-hmm.
That didn't take itself too seriously. What I also think what they're doing with Unbound that I'm really excited for was Criterion also worked on Need for Speed Most Wanted, which was actually one of my favorite PlayStation 3 Need for Speed games.
Sure.
So but then they still made it like with realistic people, real people, like almost like rendered scenes of real people acting, and it was just bad.
Okay. Oh, it was bad, not good.
No, it was not good. It was bad. So I'm really excited for this installment and them kind of going, taking a step back on the art style and being more back to taking itself less taking itself seriously, as you say, right, and being more arcadey with it.
Yeah, let the stock car games like Gran Turismo, like Forza Horizon, let those be the hyper realistic like and they're hyper realistic in graphics and also like car maintenance in some of them. Like you got to
Yep.
change these sprockets to tune your car to a specific percentage. Like that's really cool, but I like this.
Yeah. I mean, I like them both. That's the crazy thing, right? Like, like I have Gran Turismo 7, which is return to form, amazing game. But sometimes I just want to play an arcade racer, and that's it.
Yep.
So before we let we end the episode, I think one of the things that I wanted to call out is this is our second to last episode of this year. I think we're only going to do, well, we have one more coming out. We're going to record one more, and then we're going to be taking a break until the new year.
You won't have my beautiful voice clogging your eardrums anymore.
Oh, wait, that doesn't mean I'm not going to talk to you or reach out to you. I mean, we're going to do something at some point here. And
Oh, I meant the audience. They don't have to have me haranguing their brains. That was a word I just made up.
But yeah, so I only have a few episodes left. One still to come out and one more to record. I think to kind of just tease it out. I think the last episode we're going to try to do just a little retrospective and kind of some things to look forward to in 2023. So I'm kind of looking forward to wrapping that with you and kind of just figuring out, what's next in this wonderful world of gaming.
We should get a good GGTV plays pushed out before the end of the year.
Yeah,
Something like
maybe.
a Darktide. Warhammer Darktide just came out. We should pick that up, and we should play some Darktide with Christmas hats on.
Yes. What we'll do is let's do it this way. We'll obviously, we'll stream it on your Twitch, right? And then we'll post it back onto GGTV. So maybe we can coax Joe into that.
Yeah. Get we'll procure a fourth somewhere
for sure.
But we'll try to redeem ourselves for our terrible performance in Left 4 Dead. I had a ton of fun, but man, we were bad.
We were so bad. I don't know what happened, but we were so bad.
I think Joe's wife was carrying the whole time. She was carrying us.
Yeah. She was. And Joe was just like, "What are you guys doing?"
I'm dying. What does it look like? Joe, there's zombies.
Help me. I'm going to get hit by the train. Or roller coaster. We got stuck on that roller coaster for how long? Oh, yeah. Man. Thanks for listening to our most recent episode of Uneducated Gamers. You can go to Galaxy Game TV to post comments on each of our episodes, or if you have a question or a topic you would like us to include in an episode, feel free to leave a comment. Until next week, we bid you farewell.